Hey everyone, today's guest is Nizam Thonduru. He's one of the leading hypnotherapists in India, and he's been, successfully training and coaching people from across six countries across the world. He's coached psychologists, counselors, sportsmen, businessmen, yoga trainers, software professional, and so on and so forth. The interesting thing is, and how I bumped into him is he is actually helping me and has helped me, in fact, deal with my fear of flight turbulence. And he's given me some good tips and tricks and techniques of dealing with that. And that actually works. My fear of the turbulence in the flights, not fear of flights, but my fear of turbulence in the flights is down to I've gotten rid of about 30-40% of it. It's still there and it's a work in progress, but I've gotten rid of quite a bit of it. Now, Nizam has a bunch of certifications in different kinds of alternate therapy and coaching. So he's a certified life coach, of course. He's an internationally certified life coach. He's a certified NLP coach. He's a certified wellness coach. He's a master coach. He's done a master coach certification from USA. And he's also he's a certified hypnotherapy practitioner and coach. And he's done a bunch of other stuff like mind mapping, and he's also run the Train the Trainer. And he in fact runs a lot of workshops on self-hypnosis, meditational. The interesting part, and we go into the weeds on this one, emotional freedom technique. And a little while back I was telling you about how he's helped me with my fear. So this is one of the things that we dip into, and how to use the emotional freedom technique. And he does some work on the laws of attraction. And in today's episode, we cover some very interesting topics. We cover some stuff like, how to stand up for yourself. That's always been something that I've been trying to learn a lot about. How to get clarity, where I want to go. How do I get where I want to go? What is my passion? What is my purpose in life? How do I figure that out? So how do you get clarity? And once I got the clarity, how do I build the courage to get where I want to go? So I know that's the path, that's the destination, but how do I build the courage to, take that first step, or take those first steps and make a difference? How we talk about something interesting, saying, how do we live with less love? How to beat laziness? And if you're a coach and want to build your personal brand, there's something here for you. So if you're looking for answers to any one of these questions, then buckle up and enjoy the ride. Hi, Nizam. Thank you for taking time out for today's episode.
Yeah, hi, Greg. Thank you for inviting me.
Nice. How can hypnosis, I'm just going to come at this really directly. How can hypnosis help a person's personal brand? Can it? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a beautiful question, Greg, because, hypnosis comes with a history of thousands of years. So different people have contributed in their own way. If you see like personal brand, like there was a psychiatrist with name Dr. Milton Erickson.
Yeah.
So his methods are known after his name as Ericksonian hypnosis.
Mm-hmm.
So
since you talked about psychiatry, and I'm just adding the whole psychology and therapy and all of that. So hypnosis in a way predates that. It goes back in time. So psychology and all is what, since Freud and William James and Wilhelm Reich and all these guys, 100 maximum 200 years old. But hypnosis, I think, reaches back into our holy books, and the Greeks used it and all. If
true. No, just to answer about the branding part, I was telling that once the hypnosis is linked with the branding, yes, it is like what we call a specialization a person goes deep into, and it itself becomes a method, it becomes a process, it becomes, its own style. So that's where the branding is very much linked with it.
Yeah. So what I hear you say is, through hypnosis, if I've got this right, through hypnosis, someone, the person undergoing the sessions, can tap into what's their unique style, what's their USP maybe, and then how do you take that to the world? So
exactly.
Yeah, and so as you know, we're talking about the personal brand and stuff like that. So what about you? You've as our chats, as we are preparing for this session, you've been into this for quite a few years, almost 15 years, 12 to 15 years now. Right. And this is central to what you do. It's not something that you moonlight with. This is your main profession, right?
Yes.
So if you could help us understand that a lot, this is not very mainstream. I think that's the word I was looking for. With a lot of people, a person wouldn't very readily consider the career of becoming a hypnotist. Wouldn't consider becoming a hypnotist as a career, right? Very readily. But you have, and you have been doing it for quite some time. Now, what I'm interested in is at the outset, I'm assuming, I'm making all these assumptions, you correct me if I'm wrong. So at the outset, you would have gotten to hypnotist as something, hey, you know what, I'm curious to learn. This is something nice. There's a hook over there. And then you picked it up, learned a little bit, dribs and drabs here and there, and then more and more and more. But then at some point in time, you decided, okay, this is it. This is what I'm going to base my life on. I'm going to keep this as central. This is going to get the money in, going to keep the home fires burning. What was that tipping point that got you to go from mainstream career, which everybody is into and stuff, and go into something I would like to say as radical as this? So what was that tipping point? If you could tell us how you went through and how's the journey been so far?
Yeah. Journey is excellent, Greg. So what is the tipping point is, prior to hypnotherapy, I specialized in something called emotional freedom techniques.
Emotional freedom techniques.
Yeah. Okay. In short, EFT. And then I used to explore NLP, etc. But there was something unique about certain EFT practitioners and trainers that hooked my attention. Like they are doing something else. Why these people are able to create better results than others and all that. And when I explored their background and when I interacted with them and
one sec, your voice has gone off. Hold on a second.
Yeah. So Greg, as you said, you asked about the tipping point. What was my tipping point? So prior to hypnotherapy, I specialized in something called emotional freedom techniques, also known as EFT. And then I explored NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and I was doing quite good. However, I wasn't satisfied somewhere. Like, what is that? Few EFT practitioners are doing something unique, which I'm not able to understand or get it. And their scope of working with wide variety of issues was amazing. So when I interviewed them, when I interacted with them, like I just do EFT, but their EFT was having a different flavor. So when I spoke to them and looked into their past careers, hypnotherapy was something that the magic ingredient. So I said, okay, why don't I dwell deep into it? And hence, there are different forms of hypnosis, like medical hypnosis, spiritual hypnosis, clinical hypnosis, and all that. The tipping point came, Greg, when I mastered something called the regression work, where no matter whatever a person explains about their issue, there is the conscious awareness and what a person's unconsciously carrying that issue are two different things. So when we started working on to the root cause, the number of sessions reduced, maybe like from 15, 16 sessions to 2, 3 sessions at times.
So regression would in a way allow you to shorten the sessions to go deeper, faster, quicker, better.
Yes.
Wow.
Right to the it helped me to hit the bullseye, I can say. So
Mm.
that was the tipping point. And
Right.
then no looking back, and I went very deep into researching the regression work. Yeah.
Right. So do you remember like a client or something, no names and stuff, but do you remember a client? So was it like a client came in and you did some regression work and you felt, wow, this person went really deep, really fast. This is it. So was it like that, or did you like were reading a book or something? So what was that like?
Like, what's your question? Like, when
So
did I explore
I'm trying
regression?
to go a little deeper with the tipping point. And so what I hear you say is, so let me just quickly summarize. So what I hear you say is that you started with EFT, and I'd like to go a little deeper with EFT. So the EFT is standing for emotional
freedom techniques.
freedom techniques. Okay, so emotional freedom techniques. That's what you started off with. Then you got into so from there you noticed that all these trainers, facilitators were also using hypnotherapy along with that. And then, if I'm not wrong, then regression is a kind of a hypnotherapy. Then you got into hypnotherapy, and this combination of EFT, hypnotherapy, and regression is what's becoming a little explosive for you. Is what's giving you better results.
Yes. I don't deny my past trainings haven't helped, but utilization of hypnotherapy has beautified. It has fastened the results. It has deepened the results.
So that tipping point that we were talking about, so you're saying, and then the tipping point came, and I'm just going a little deeper, trying to identify, I don't know deeper, but just trying to identify that point where, was it with a client that you had in a state of regression or hypnotherapy, and the client emerged from that, and then you realized, wow, good job done, good work done, this is it for me? Or was it when you're reading a book or some other life experience? So what experience really got you to, okay, solidify, cemented, this is it for me?
Okay, like it is not one incident. It was like series of incidents that happened, Greg. Like, let me certain clients, they responded very well with EFT.
Okay.
Some like just casual conversation and few here and there NLP processes that clicked.
Right.
But something was missing where people started coming back. That was like made me think, what is still missing? What is that? And second point is, not everyone went very deep into the core of the issue because the pattern started repeating. And the tipping point was like when I observed within this single session where we could go to the very root cause of it. Like, let me give one session, we can go very deep. I'm not saying one session wonders always happen, but every session is very deep with the help of regression.
And that's so different to the way, so I've been an executive coach, people in my team are executive coaches, and what we typically say is, hey, it's going to take you at least 6 sessions to start seeing some results, and takes you about 18 sessions spread across like 12 months or something like that, like 2 sessions a month, for you to notice some behavior change. But here you are saying one session, and I get it, if not one session, but at least a few sessions, you begin to change. So that for me is a bit of a paradigm shift compared to the ICF coaching model and the way we guys have been coaching. Not to say that paradigm shift don't happen typically in coaching in a single or 2 or 3 sessions, but the general, at least my view, is that it takes a little while. It takes about 6-7 sessions for some needle shift to happen. But here you're saying that boom, it happens in 1.
Yes, Greg. Again, there are multiple situations. Sometimes the even let's say nothing has happened in the single session. Lot of awareness is created because many people, they come to the therapist or a coach with certain questions, with the expectation that my coach or my therapist will answer me for all my whys. Why am I like this? Why do I behave this? Why?
Right.
And those whys are answered within this deep regression work. And there comes the aha moment, hence the paradigm shift. That's why the regression is much more deeper and beautiful process.
Right. Right. Yeah. I'm just wondering over here that there's so many places I could go with this. But okay, so you've mentioned emotional freedom technique, regression, and hypnotherapy. Now, if you could just one or two lines in a short way explain to us what EFT is. So we'll just do EFT and regression, maybe a little bit of all three.
Sure. See, again, Greg, regression happens even conversationally as well. When you're talking, and then conversationally, we can take like most of the amazing coaches. This is what they do, is like they are able to create a beautiful paradigm shift by creating the awareness within. So regression is part of everything, but there is a specific method of hypnotherapy, which I'll talk later. So EFT again has roots with acupressure, acupuncture, which is been anciently practicing in India as well. And what happened is there is this psychologist, or we can say a psychotherapist called Roger Cullen. He was
Roger Cullen.
exploring.
Roger Cullen, you said.
Roger Cullen.
Okay.
So he used to explore both Eastern and Western methods of therapies, and accidentally found out that certain emotional issues can be cleared by stimulating certain acupressure points in our body.
Oh, okay.
So that led to a development of thought field therapy called TFT.
Thought field therapy.
Thought field therapy. Then there was an electric engineer called Gary Craig. He apprenticed for 2 years with Roger Cullen, and then he said, okay, this is TFT is very complicated. Let me make it very simple.
Yeah.
As simple as you can learn it within 5-10 minutes and apply it.
Okay.
So we utilize some acupressure points and tap it and release the emotions that are trapped in the physical body. So that is about EFT.
That's what you're doing with me, in fact, you know. So,
yes.
Right. When you're helping me overcome my fear of turbulence and fear of flights and stuff like that. So that's what you're doing with me. Yeah. Okay. So, okay.
Exactly. So that's EFT.
And it's interesting that an electrical engineer, you said?
Yes.
Not Roger Cullen.
Gary Craig.
Yeah. So it's interesting that an electrical or an electronics engineer would actually say emotional freedom therapy. And I would assume that he would have said thought TFT, you know. So, all right. Okay. Now, I have a theory. I want to test it with you. Right? Or rather, I want to bounce it off you and see what you have to say about it. My theory is that if you're an ICF coach, okay, if you're an ICF coach, or you've just become an ICF coach, a certified coach, you also are ICF certified, no? I think.
So, I'm just done my training, but I'm not certified. Okay.
So you know the ICF methodology and stuff.
Yes.
So let's say I've just become a coach, right? And now out there in the world, they're like, this is a mushrooming industry, right? And a lot of people come and ask me, hey, Greg, but you know, there's so many coaches out there. Why should somebody come to me? Why should somebody, why should I get business and why should I get clients and stuff like that? There's so many people to go. And so many people who've done a lot of stuff. They've been ex-CEOs and ex-CXOs and people with so much, like you, with so much of experience, other in schools of psychology and trained psychologists and PhD and stuff. So how do I stand out is what a lot of people have told me. And what I've told them is, of course, hard work, word of mouth, the regular stuff, but bring yourself, you know, to in the present moment. I mean, that's easier said than done, but I think that always works. But one of the pieces that I have thought of, and I've even told some people, is combine your coaching with something, right? If you're a coach, combine being an executive coach with, let's say, transaction analysis, something I've done, and I find that very nice. And maybe combine it with let's say NLP. And in doing so, one is you combine it, and in doing so, also find your niche in doing that, right? Because when you combine it, you see each school of psychotherapy or each school of alternate healing has some very unique selling points. Like if you see an EFT, then it's about releasing the emotion. Like, you're tapping on different places, but you're also combining that with coaching, and you're getting the person to reflect on several aspects of it. One, maybe, where is the feeling happening and what are the kinds of feelings and stuff like that. So now so each of these schools of psychotherapy also come with their own characteristics and their own USPs. And so looking at it, you can, as a coach, slowly build your niche. Like a coach that works with, out of the top of my head, a coach that works with emotions. So you're a coach, you've got EFT on your side, maybe you've got a third piece on your side, a coach that works with emotions, or a well-being coach, is that true? Is that something that this combinatorial approach to making coaching, making an alternate healing as your profession, does this work, or are you saying no need? What are your thoughts? What's your viewpoint on that?
Like, yeah, Greg, I very much agree with you, because it is always what this type of style is called eclectic approach, where we combine different tools. End of the day, the person who is sitting in front of us need result. So it is like every teacher is unique. Different tools have different purposes. So once we combine and make our toolkit unique, having a mixed approaches is always good than sticking to one specific tool or a method.
So could you, maybe out of the top of your head, give us one or two combinations that could be, like, if we keep coaching, I'm just going after coaching because so many people have now in corporate India, outside corporate India, people are just going after becoming a coach, an executive coach, or sometimes a life coach. So if one of the circles or whatever is coaching, what are 2-3 things that you would suggest people should do such that it can combine really well?
Excellent. Greg, I would highly recommend something called Rational Emotive Behavioral Therapy, REBT.
I've heard about this.
So
I've had it on my bucket
REBT
list.
deals with challenging the irrational thoughts and beliefs of a person, and we do it conversationally. Okay. And this really adds value in the coaching part, because let's say a person says, my life is miserable because of my boss. I'm not happy because so and so. So these are the things.
I was actually going to ask that question. How can this combine with coaching, especially in corporate India? Yeah. But you were saying this is a nice example, almost like a case study. So let's just go with this and say that, I'm unhappy with my boss, or I've got a toxic boss, or whatever. I'm unhappy. Who's toxic? Let's just say I'm unhappy with my boss. Boss treats me like crap. All right. So now what? How can a coach who's done an ICF and who's done, let's say, an REBT combine two? Yeah.
Exactly. Greg, because REBT totally, it's the name itself stands for Rational Emotive Behavioral Therapy. So like helping a person to move from irrational thoughts and beliefs to rationality, and high intense negative emotions to low intense emotions. We are not turning a negative thought into a positive thought. No, we are reducing the intensity of the emotions. Like now this person is saying, like, boss is making his or her life miserable. Right. So 3 things we need to understand here. How REBT's framework works is like, our expectations with self, with others, and with the world. When it doesn't match, there is this frustration tolerance. Our frustration levels increase and tolerance levels comes down.
Mm-hmm.
So it is obvious that just because I expect my boss to be good with me and he is not good with me, my tolerance levels go down and frustration levels goes up.
Mm. Very, very
So
similar to a painkiller, no? So like when you
yeah,
pop a painkiller, it increases your pain vector, which is really it doesn't reduce the pain. It's your ability to withstand more pain. So something on those lines, it seems, no?
exactly. So whose thoughts, whose expectations are bothering you?
Hmm.
My own thoughts and my own emotions are bothering me.
Yeah.
So what do I do now?
Right.
Just focus. Okay, in what way specifically? What makes me say that my life is miserable because of my boss? So if there are 100 people, we ask some quantifying questions, like if there are 100 people in the similar situation, would 100 people react the same way that how you are
Such a
reacting?
powerful question.
No.
Wow.
And that's how we like, okay, so the people come with some substantial evidences, like this case, this to justify. Okay,
Right.
however, now what? Like 100 people given in the same scenario, would you do that? Then the anger might reduce to irritation, which is still a person is able to become functional in a stressful situation. We are not thinking, okay, think positive, where the person is already in high anger.
Right.
So now it turned into irritation, which is
Right.
fine. And then like, yes, it is not possible that my boss behaves the way I expect. And in certain given situations, yeah, he might have lost control. But what is in my control is how I can perform in a stressful situation. And feedback is equal to criticism is again something I need to think about. All such things helps us to build the what we call resilience within Greg. So that's how it is. See, it is all about what the coach is doing, just a beautiful work of inner shift, the way we see the things.
So like if
So
we can maybe do a few questions. So I totally love your question, and I think I could use that very quickly and easily. Your question being that, if there were 100 people in the similar situation, would everybody react the same way? To which I could say, no, people will react differently, and some will react more and some will react yes. That's pretty logical. But then I would easily slip back and saying, hey Nizam, and maybe you can just role play this. Hey Nizam, but this is the way I am. Yeah, I mean, I just get tensed up really fast, and I react to this. I can't help it, man. I mean, other people won't, but that's not my problem. No, that's the other people. So what do I do? Yeah, I don't have control over those for whatever reasons. They've got a thicker skin or not, but it hurts me, and this is my value. So what would you then say to that?
yeah, like again, it is what is hurting you, your own thoughts and your own emotions, right?
So what's hurting me is that my boss, keeps yelling at me in front of everybody.
And how does that make you feel? What are your thoughts in such situation?
That makes me feel like a total loser. Yeah. I mean, he's yelling at me. It makes me feel like angry inside. I want to, let him have it and tell him to, shake a leg or jump off a cliff. And I'm not able to do that also. So it's anger and then it's frustration because I'm not able to do that. So, it's just.
How does someone yelling at you equivalent to I am a loser? Greg, this is the core belief that is coming out. Every time a person is getting triggered, their core beliefs come out that I am a loser.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's going somewhere.
Where is this? Now comes the conversational regression, where the regression work. Where is this I am a loser coming up?
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. And I could see that could go so many places. It's amazing. Yeah. So this seems like a case study almost, Nizam. That we've done. How to become an effective coach or how to build more resilience. So we've talked about 2-3 interesting, and I think even Tony Robbins runs something like this. I've seen him doing something similar in which somebody's talking about how he hates or loves. I think he's working with substance abuse. I think it's sugar or something like that. And then he tells them to dial up the feeling on a scale of 1 to 10, and what would it mean? Like if you're having Coke, what kind of happiness does having a Coke give you? And he says, okay, it's a 3 or whatever. What would it take to make it a 4, to make it a 5? And then he brings down the feeling. So he's taking up the feeling and then he's bringing down the feeling. And so I think REBT, as you initially spoke about it also, is, when you spoke about frustration and tolerance, it's also about, almost like playing with the feeling.
Exactly, correct.
Right?
Exactly. Yes,
Seeing where the feeling is going. And
true. Like, our end of the day, it is like emotional intensity and these core beliefs, and what is our self-concept about our,
right.
How do we define ourselves? Like, I feel always like I am a loser.
Yeah.
Any given situation, my frustration levels goes high and my tolerance comes down because my self-concept is not healthy.
Correct. And even in that little game that we are playing, although I don't have a boss, and run my own organization, but even in that game that I was playing, I could see that even though I was trying to identify with the situation, but some of the things that were coming up were from inside. So the whole I am a loser bit, I'm sure intuitively we could track it back and go somewhere into the past in some previous organization that I've worked with, or even before, and that conversation would go amazing places.
Yes, Greg, because I want to jump off the cliff. If you see, that is an irrational thought. How my mind is thinking is because my
I'm saying the
boss
boss should have jumped off the cliff, but
boss should, even that is an irrational thought and a belief that if my boss jumps out of the cliff, my issue is resolved. How irrational it is.
That's right.
So from there we are.
But it's coming from a place of I want to kill him, man, and I probably want to be the one responsible for pushing him off the cliff.
Yes. So those are the things that come out, and that is how they are operating their life and situations, and expect a different result with irrational thoughts and beliefs they have,
right,
and very unhealthy thoughts about themselves, and with these core beliefs, but they want a different result.
Right.
Now, when their irrational thoughts change to rational,
right,
then okay, every time my boss yells at me, I would focus more on what exactly he is coming, what are his points about me, what is he talking, and then how can I deal if his voice is louder? How can I respond in such situations instead of questioning my own self or doubting myself that I'm a loser? Sometimes just because boss is yelling doesn't mean that I'm wrong.
Right.
So if we are able to regulate our thoughts and emotions and think rationally, that is a different game changer, Greg.
Right. Awesome. So since we did almost something like a case study, let's do a couple of case studies, if that's okay.
Sure. I'd love to.
Super. So as I go about facilitating, and one of these case studies, I think the third one is going to be about me. So I'm just going to selfishly use this as something. But this one is, I come across this when I train people, when I interact with people, when I coach people. A lot of people come to me and say that, there are so many books about following your passion. There's so much talk and podcasts and videos and what have you about go follow your passion, and you'll make it in life, sort of a thing. If you want to lead a meaningful life, go follow your passion. Adding to that, what they say next is, these are not people just about getting into corporate India. These are people, some of them have even got very good jobs, very highly paying jobs. And they're telling me that we don't know what our passion is. We're just doing this because we're doing it. We don't know what else to do. And, to which, again, the folk wisdom is, if you can't do what you like doing, like what you do, or something like that, no? Like if you can't find a passion, you might as well like what you're doing. And they said, no, we're unable to. How? So it's very nice to say, like what you're doing, but how? Right? We don't like what we're doing. And so how does one, the question I'm getting at is, how does one find that kind of clarity for, hey, what is it that I am meant to be on this earth, meant to do on this earth? Or is that question, answering that question required at all? So that perhaps is an assumption you could challenge also. And how could your, whether it's an REBT, whether it's, the whole hypnotherapy bit or EFT, how could these help people reconcile this question in their minds?
Okay. And Greg, yeah, good question. Many people come to me and ask, Nizam, I'm lost. I don't know what's my purpose of life.
There you go.
I'm lost and I have no purpose. Everyone around me is skillful. Everyone has some unique talent, but I don't know what am I good at? What is my passion? What is my purpose? I feel so lost. And when a person says this, we have two categories. One are even super successful and feel lost.
Nice that you're categorizing it. Yeah.
Yeah. And someone who's not still, making good career or whatsoever, like not well settled or anywhere. I have seen like two different dimensions.
Right.
Even at the director levels also, they say, I don't know. I just picked up everything that came on my way. I have to do engineering. I did it and I got a job and now I'm in this director level position. Yes, I have house, family, everything, but I feel lost.
And very intelligent people also saying this, like you said, no, I've done engineering and director and stuff. So very intelligent. It's not that these people are dumb people. It's also very intelligent people.
Yes, exactly. So money equivalent to life purpose or financial freedom, by then it is like people say that success is equal to what is that. Every person has their own different definitions, right? So this has got nothing to do with EFT, nothing to do with hypnosis, nothing to do with any tools. All I asked was, I'll share this beautiful case study. There was this woman in her 30s. She said, like, I left my high paid job for my kids and then supporting the family, etc., etc. But there's something bothering me, which we can call this, we can name this as a spiritual depression, Greg.
Oh, okay.
Spiritual depression. Okay. Like they have everything.
Yeah.
However, there is something missing, like the salt missing in. I'm a South Indian, so like our dal, rice, all rasam, everything needs to have enough spices and salt. Okay.
The spice is missing, huh? Yeah.
Yes, there's something is spiceless life. Something is missing. Something is missing. So what I did is no techniques, nothing, Greg. I asked her, grab a pen and paper. As a child, what did you like? What were the situations where you felt appreciated of? As a child, what you felt to do more? What kept you on your toes? What kept you awake whole night? What was that child like? What was that you didn't like? And always like as a child, what you dreamt of, what you spoke about a lot. Everything, like we did couple of conversations, like 2-3 times. Again, she went back and she asked her loved ones, like, what was I like? What was I dreaming about? What was I passionate about? What was I mad about?
Almost, no?
Yeah. Yes. Wow. And then she came with something unique, Greg, which was not in her list, that she used to love singing. And come what may, that was something which was deeply, deeply bothering her to unleash the singer within. And I said, go ahead, go ahead. She was trying jobs, she was doing jobs, and etc., etc. Nothing was giving her happiness. But here comes, once she touched the right button, and recently she shared her YouTube video with me where her song was recorded, that gave her a different level of happiness. So again, Greg, once we identify, okay, again, it doesn't stop here. Just identifying the passion is different, and becoming skillful in it is another set of thing. Now, Does she want to enjoy her passion is a different thing. Now she wants to convert her passion into profession. So she enrolled into, music classes and taking it further. So it all depends at what point someone is at. So this has got nothing to do with career. So one may be, director at some level, but he or she may find their purpose in um, feeding stray dogs. We never know what gives them immense happy. Like they said, this is my purpose of life.
Right.
Like they have sometimes, they go for trekking and they say like mountains. I met a mountaineer. He treks regularly and says, Nizam, for me, these are not just rocks. I feel they are talking to me. They are calling me. So that is his purpose. He becomes a childlike, spend his time in the nature and comes back with his regular life. So we never know what is that driving factor unless we explore ourselves to the core, right?
Yeah, and a couple of things I've been writing down, the 3-4 pieces that hit me, as you speak that. So one is that someone might ask, singing, mountaineering, but today, we're so far away from the industrial revolution, and there's so much more opportunities. Back in the day, 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 years back, there are only very few. You become a doctor, or you become a teacher, or you become an IS officer, or become an engineer, etc., etc. But today, there's just an explosion of things. So much to say that, you could define your niche. It's with technology, with social media and stuff, right? You could actually define your niche and make money out of almost anything that you're putting out there.
Yes.
So that's the first piece that comes to me. The second thing that comes to me is what I see you're doing in that little exercise that you very nicely recounted was on, I don't know what you are doing or what's happening rather, and you're facilitating that whole piece, is that, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that, to me, I feel that one of the reasons people aren't able to find their purpose is because they are out of touch of what got them appreciation, what got them love, what got them nourishment and nurturing. They're out of touch, they're forgotten. That, hey, you know what? Oh man, I used to get a lot of love for doing tarara, whatever, or a little love, or somebody, in your childhood, if you didn't receive too much love, we often see that in therapy and so on. But then somebody said some small little comment, which could have kindled into something really big, but it didn't because, of the other louder, discouraging voices. But tapping in and tuning into that is one of the methods of how somebody could find purpose and what
exactly correct. Like there are again two driving factors, like I can say negative driving factors, where a person is successful but drained. Like someone criticized, I want to prove myself, hence I will take MBBS or engineering and I'll do MTech and I will show people how much package I have, how much I have a house and luxury car, etc. But there is inside a big dent or a void. Second thing is, I will be valued if X happens. Then this people pleasing personality evolved. So two things made a person successful in the, like what we call materialistic life, but they still have that void with it. However, a person, if they go into their childhood and what kept them driving, what were they passionate about, what were they dreaming of, everything, like once they slowly pick up and connect to the different stages of life, it doesn't mean that there should be a career out of their passion. I'm not saying that. It again depends on their individual.
On what you want to do,
Yes. But the passion once identified, and I'm not asking anyone to quit their job or do this, but once you identify what keeps you driving, what is your driving factor, what is your passion, take out that time.
One of the realizations that I've had is that, it's important to have a few spaces in the entire day that give you some joy.
Yes.
Like for me, it's my morning. Now it's down to 30 minutes, but I'm trying to take it up to an hour of writing. Every morning, sit down and write. And I got about an 80% compliance on that. So that just releases so much of joy.
Yeah.
And so what I hear you say is that it's important to explore your passion, not just to make a career out of it. You could,
Yes.
but not just to. Even if you don't, but then you're also defining a space which could be a wellspring of so much joy
Yeah.
for you, right? So
Yes.
I hear you say that. And what I also hear you say is that the drivers behind what you do are very important in finding meaning. And what I mean by that is that if your primary drivers are, I need to be felt valued, or I need to rub somebody's nose into the ground, or I need to show somebody that I am worth it. If that's your primary driver, we all have those drivers. Let's not pretend. But if that's the only thing from where you're working out of, you will 9 out of 10 times reach a place where you're feeling unfulfilled. Versus if you're working out of a place or some space you're working out of, this is what gives me joy. I can do it. And then inadvertently, you're spreading that joy to the world. Something as simple as if you see somebody, and this is, I speak from my own life. If you, like in the mornings when I'm sitting down to write and I've got my timer on for half an hour or whatever time I've decided, then I just notice as I look up, I've just noticed a lot of people just looking at me. And I feel that joy that's coming from inside of me could also inspire somebody else to do something, not necessarily writing, that could give them joy. Because that's pretty infectious. So that's that's what I see you saying. And so several places that case study went. I think that was super cool. Yeah. Now, moving from there. Now, let's just say I found my passion, or I have an inkling. Let's not say found it. This is my passion. I have an inkling, or I have a little more than an inkling. Let's say I have a yearning. I want to do so and so. For me, it was I wanted to go back to the mountains. Right. I spent about 17 years in corporate India doing a job. And every single day, this question stayed with me. I got to go back to the mountains. I mean, God is good and luck served me well. I was able to make that move. But for a lot of people, they get an inkling coupled with maybe a yearning. I want to do that. Yeah, whatever that is. I want to become a biker. I want to become an author. I want to write. I want to feed stray dogs, entrepreneur, artist, whatever. Right? But they don't. So this is my next case study. But they haven't been able to, let's not say don't have, they haven't been able to find that courage, that seed of courage sitting inside of them to be able for them to make that jump. Right. So could you speak to that? And so I'm not going to say something from hypnosis or EF, so whatever way you want to speak to that, could you speak to that? Like, what I'm trying to processize how to find courage. That's where I'm going with this. So like kind of a left brain thing with a right brain thing. So courage and all is very touchy-feely maybe, but also adding, is there a process by which somebody could...
Yes, correct. Beautiful question. Like, this is where I start my sessions with something called pre-talk. And my mentors, pre-talk of before hypnotherapy or any other session I do, I help people to understand how does subconscious mind works. Like the conscious mind, which is just a 5% of our, awareness, because 95% is the subconscious driven life. And subconscious mind is equivalent to 4 or a 5-year-old for your entire life. And the conscious mind is equivalent to your own age. So logically, conscious mind's functionality is to analyze, it is very analytical, logical, calculative, aware. Subconscious mind, it is not even childlike. I said it is childish, but very powerful. That's where the irrational things emerge. If we take the case of addictions also, even doctors say you quit smoking, else it is you can even you may even die, still the person is not able to quit smoking, because one of the functions of subconscious mind is to keep us safe. Every time a person feels anxious, he or she smokes, subconscious mind thinks safety is equal to smoking. So logically, the person knows that I know. If you see, many people have this conversation. I know I need to quit smoking. I know I need to wake up early. I know I have to exercise. But whatever the post but sentence is coming from the subconscious mind.
If I may hazard a guess of what's happening, this is completely not based on any research and stuff. It's just based on several pieces of readings that I've done, and I'm cobbling something together. So when you smoke, there's some chemicals, some happiness chemicals released in the body, in the brain, like dopamine and so on and so forth. So some cocktail of it. So endorphins and dopamine and serotonin, oxytocin, whatever. So there's something released in the body. And that dopamine, that happiness drug that's being released in the head, is overcoming that little voice or that little anxiety that's perhaps been thrown up by the subconscious. So that's kind of dumbing it down. And so you don't have to deal with that lingering voice in your head, or that and which could be draining on, because it's lingering, it's constantly telling you something or the other, and so it could be draining of your energy. So this kind of gives you a nice that voice is no longer
momentary, like the ostrich
smoking and so
I really don't know this metaphor. I have searched for the videos but never, but metaphorically, when someone is coming to catch the ostrich, it dips its head into the sand. Same thing is smoking, same thing is any addiction, right? So what happens is the survival program, and second thing is subconscious mind wants a quick fix, the laziness, out of laziness. And third thing is, it is the reason for our habits, good or bad.
Right.
So safety program or survival program, laziness and quick fix, instant gratification. And then third one is the habits. So when something is not matching these three criteria, that, okay, I'm getting monthly salary. I know these people as if they have joined the company because they know it. Just because they joined the company, they came to know it. But they say, I have people who know me, etc., etc., etc. A beautifully constructed safety program. The moment a person is trying to think out of this box of comfort zone, the subconscious mind, which is 95%, does everything to hold a person into that comfort zone.
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
so
that's one of the reasons, because of that familiar feeling of safety, which is no longer there. Getting out of that bubble of yours is no longer there. Now, so let me just quickly go back. So that, because safety first, no, I think Maslow and all these big daddies and big mommies are saying safety first. Safety is your biggest driver, right?
Yes.
What's the second and third? You mentioned.
What safety program?
Right.
Second is laziness and instant quick fix attitude of subconscious. And third one is reason for the habit. So one of my mentors, one of the legendary trainers, author and coach, Bob Proctor, his entire work was towards Bob Proctor. Yeah. Okay. His whole research was about paradigm shift. Let's consider X as a comfort zone. And the new field I want to come or reach is called Y. Okay. The comfort zone is X, and the new thing that it could be mountaineering or even change of job, whatever, even a toxic relationship, anything. This is called Y. So between X and Y, there is a terror barrier.
That's right.
Terror barrier. So each time I step out of my X zone, which is my comfort zone, my terror barrier makes sure that I run back to my X. Run back, run. So what is the best way?
I probably have a very high terror barrier, because most people would feel it, but I'm assuming the people that are able to overcome and jump into the new terrain, whether it is becoming an entrepreneur or whatever else, are able either have a lower terror barrier or are able to get stronger legs and jump over that terror barrier. Is something like that?
It's not, see, again, what is the level of intensity of emotions coming out of terror barrier is subjective.
And probably linked to our childhood, you know?
Probably.
Yeah. Right.
And also, even when someone steps out and gets a blow, that
So I missed the last 5 seconds. Terror blow.
Like, there's this small example of dating. Let's say someone got cheated and went on a new date, again attracted the same kind of person, and then see, I made it out to date someone, and this happens. Hence, all men are this, all women are like this.
Right.
Hence, they want to go back into their comfort zone of X. So
Right.
there is a constant struggle between X and Y until X is completely gone and Y happens. So what are the methods we need to do so that we get out of comfort zone is the constant repetition of, like, you are affirming, or you are utilizing self-hypnosis, or doing some EFT tapping, and taking small steps, as simple as, like, let's say you don't want to quit your job, you're in the same company for the past 20 years. As simple as do some research on naukri.com to understand what it is. Just for, you don't quit the job yet, but start attending some interviews.
Small steps.
Small steps, slowly. The subconscious mind, which is scared, I told, no, it is like 4-5-year-old. For a 4-5-year-old, a devil under the cot is real. But for the parent, it is like, what, you're just child like, but you have to go to their level and make them feel assured that there is no devil under the cot.
So if I was just to extend that analogy of devil under the cot. So as a parent, now I figure out the child's hot button. Now I tell the child there's devil under the cot. Okay, so the minute the child does something wrong, if I'm saying, hey, there's a devil under the cot, it's going to come and get you. So the child's fear of trying something new, goes up, and his ability to try something new goes down, which later on converts itself into, when I really know that this is what I want to do, but I'm too scared to do it. Subconsciously, it's been programmed in our mind that, if you do something, that the devil can come and bite you. It's illogical, because now you've grown up and you realize that there is no devil on the cot, that devils don't exist, maybe, perhaps.
Maybe. We never know.
We never know. Maybe. You never know. Okay. But somewhere at the back of our head, there is that, governing fear that the devil's going to come and get us. So that's safety. And you would say this one you just spoke of, the devil under the cot, is a reason for habit. Is that what you're saying?
No, fear. Like, if this happens, then I don't feel safe. So we need to make sure that finally we feel safe to move out of the comfort zone. How? I took the example of devil under the cot is, it is the responsibility of a parent to lovingly and caringly communicate in such a way that the child feels safe and realizes. Similarly, we need to use our conscious mind, which is equivalent to our age, to communicate with our subconscious mind in such a way that it feels safe. Yes, I can. Like a self-hypnosis, repetitive statements, and also maybe talking to experts. Like, CA is impossible. But if a child does the real research with the people who have already done it, not from the people who have failed repeatedly, then the subconscious mind feels, yes, I can also be a CA. Not that if the same kid goes and talks to a person who has failed in CA 10 times and says he comes with his own experience. So with whom we talk, who are our mentors, whom we model consciously, unconsciously matters. There are multiple factors, Greg. Like self-hypnosis and using positive affirmations, writing down, which is called life scripting, that finally I'm able to get out of my comfort zone, nailed a dream job with this package, etc. Tapping, EFT tapping, there are millions of videos over YouTube to emotional release and reprogram our subconscious mind and reach out to the right person, expert in that specific field. Seek help. don't fight your battles alone.
Don't fight your battle.
Why?
Wow, that's really wonderful. Don't fight your
Yes,
battles.
why they have to? Life is not a battle, but they
Yeah.
are fighting. So
They're
find
fighting.
a who has made it a possibility in which
Yeah.
I'm dreaming to become of. So reaching out such people helps.
And I think that in itself is such a powerful thing to say. You don't need to fight all your battles alone,
Yeah.
right? And what I'm taking away from that, Nizam, is something. I'm just connecting a couple of dots. I was listening to Dr. Jordan Peterson some time back, and he was explaining how, suppose somebody's scared of getting into a lift. Okay, how do you overcome the fear of getting into a lift? He says there's something called exposure therapy, right? You don't take a person and make the person jump into a lift, because that'll increase the trauma. What you do is you take a picture of a lift and show the person, are you willing to look at the picture of the lift, right? And so then show him the picture of the lift and show the picture of inside lift and stuff like that. And then get the person to hold the picture and slowly, so small steps, and then go near a lift and take some pictures, and then, nothing's happening. Or maybe go into a stationary lift, so slowly, break this down to small steps. So I think that's, one of the pieces I'm taking away. I think one more piece, which I think you referred to, you alluded to, but I just wanted to call it out and say, compassion to yourself, compassion to inner child. And I think a simple good practice is, taking your hand and putting it on your heart and really feeling the energy in your palm, feeling the heartbeat. And can I just give you to the heart? You can try it now, like whoever's listening in. There's this, instantly you feel it. Your palm, so your own palm. So there are 2-3 things. So one is the small steps. Second is you don't have to fight your battles yourself. And even yourself, you also got some power, you can give some love really back to yourself. So that's
and also, Greg, I would like to share a small process which is called havening.
I was hoping you'd say that, man.
Yeah.
What's the process name?
Havening. Haven. Haven. Havening.
Okay.
Havening. So all a person needs to do is, just whenever they're feeling anxious or tensed or sad or doesn't matter what emotion, just stroke yourself like this. This hug it feels like someone loved one has hugged us. This beautiful gentle massage, doing this self-havening really helps. It brings a kind of assurance, a feeling, a support, a guidance.
Wow.
Like all this
I'm doing it with
massage.
you, and I'm just hugging myself and rubbing my arms on my own arms, my palms on my arms, and I can feel this. It's
the crying child instantly stops because when his or her mother hugs, or there is this feeling suddenly when a child gets up in the middle of the night, nowhere, starts crying, and then once the mother or father assures that we are there, it brings the kind of feeling safe. So similarly, havening helps to calm down high level of anxiety as well, fears, phobias. It could be anything. Yes. So havening is one of the beautiful practices.
All right. Let me just write that down. How to calm anxiety. Wow. Now so just coming to the last case study. So we've talked about quite a few things. We've talked about, number one, how do you get clarity? What's my passion? What's my purpose? Second, we also talked about finding courage. So how do you find courage? And we spoke about a few pieces. The third one I want to talk about is I want to go back to, we were talking about the bad boss, right?
Bad boss.
And I want to narrate an incident from my life. I had spoken about this earlier. So I want to relate an incident. So it was not a boss, it was a peer, a colleague.
Yeah.
All right. But she was same level role in one of my previous organizations. And she had this nasty habit when anybody did something wrong that she thought was wrong, or somebody didn't understand what she was saying, or she wanted somebody to do something differently, she would always explode on that person. And she had this word, she'd call them a donkey, but in Hindi, she said, Gadhe aise mat kar, ya gadhi aisi mat kar, and she'd call everybody, not just me, she'd call us everybody. But when she'd say to me, no, I'd get, and I'm sure my colleagues also shared the same, maybe they shared the same thing. See, it was done in a bit of a light-hearted way, so, and a smile on the face, but when it was said, I got, really pissed off and frustrated, not able to tell her, right? Now, why? Because in that minute, I would not be able to come up with a good response. Like much later, I could think of a nice response. So my question to you is this. We started off by saying, how can hypnosis and alternate healing and science contribute to a personal brand, right? That's what this whole podcast is all about. And, people are looking at you. Some part of your personal brand is how you come across to people. Some part of your personal brand is getting formed. How when you're standing up for yourself, when you're drawing your own boundaries, when you're pushing back positively, but being assertive, may not be aggressive, but being assertive. So my question is not how to be assertive. My question is that in the moment when somebody pushes you back, and in that moment, if you're somebody like me who does not get a response in that moment, but if you're a thinker or whatever else and gets the response like half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours down the line, and a brilliant response, but how can one train their own mind to get that response in the moment and push back, stand up for yourself? Don't show you that a pushover, walk over, don't let people steamroll you. That's the question.
Right. So first of all, Greg, we need to understand that why we were not able to speak out was the frozen response. Okay. Like we have fight, flight, freeze. The person was frozen that he or she could not speak in that situation.
I was frozen. Yeah, I was frozen.
Yes. So after an hour or two, once we come back
unfreeze
to our senses and all that, then we say, I could have said this, I could have said that. This is always a beautiful process called mental rehearsal, Greg.
Okay.
So mental rehearsal and behavioral modification.
Okay.
There are two things.
So before you say anything, Nizam, I just want to put context around this. Now, this could be not just this person, because if you know that a typical person is going to respond in a particular way, then you could practice it and wait for that to come up. The next time she or he comes up with something, you could throw that. I'm saying in life in general, somebody just slaps you and goes away, like verbally. So, it's very important to be able to come up with a rebuttal in that moment. How does one do it? Yeah, please go ahead.
That's what. See, this exercise is applicable in both the situations.
Okay.
One is predictive nature, that when something similar is going to happen, how do I handle such situation is one thing, or similar situations happen, how do I handle? Because I could not handle in my past in certain way. So what we do is, there is something called mental correction or revision method.
Mental correction or revision method?
Revision method. Okay. So what we do, I go back to the situation where I was frozen, Greg. And I replay the whole scenario with a different ending multiple times. That the person called me XYZ or labeled me something. I am not frozen in this time. I'm mentally rehearsing that I was able to vocalize. I would, express and all that. I do this multiple times. So this is the thing. And in future also, if someone says this, immediately, because I have mentally rehearsed so many times that this time I'm not getting frozen. This can be like, even some people have problem while driving, someone cuts us off suddenly, or there are some turnings that makes us feel anxious. I could have done this, I could have said this, I could have dealt like this. Go back, sit calm, and do this mental revision process or correction process and play it over and over, so that the brain is now rewired to new responses instead of getting frozen. That will really help. Even many situations, Greg, because, relationship is one of the key factors, I'll tell you.
Right.
If I say this, my husband or my wife might take it otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
They might feel bad, and people keep that stuff, and suddenly one day it explodes.
Mm.
So do the mental process, mental rehearsal.
Mm.
I should have said this. No, I will say this. Just feel safe. Because the brain doesn't differentiate what is reality and what is imagination.
Mm.
That's why brain is called most intelligent and the most stupid organ. Okay. So we are mentally rehearsing so
Yeah.
much that the brain starts believing it.
Starts believing. So, Nizam, the question over there is, when you're doing a mental rehearsal, do you always have to visualize a positive outcome, or could you even visualize a negative outcome? What I mean is, like, let's say I visualize that this person has said something, right? And I visualize that I am giving a very nice, solid rebuttal or a response, or pushing back nicely. And then I also visualize that this person is exploding, getting really pissed off, angry and stuff. So that's the negative visualization. But in that negative situation, I visualize I'm calm. I have something to go second level, third level of rebuttals. Is that something we could do as well, or is it only on
the
the positive
outcome? What you want is, I don't think anyone would visualize a negative outcome and being yelled at and all that stuff. But however, we can visualize more of the issues as getting resolved, which may happen, may not happen. However, because my locus of control is like only to my boundary, I cannot control how other person is going to think or react or handle the situation otherwise. Still, what I am doing is I'm mentally rehearsing in such a way that I'm expressive and I'm good in bringing the issue to a closure.
Right.
It may happen, it may not happen, but at least I am responding instead of getting frozen.
This is super. This is giving me so much food for thought. So many things that I want to go and try out with myself or in my coachings. It's been a very wisdom laden conversation with you, Nizam.
Thank you.
And as we come to a close, Nizam, I wanted to say, any last message to the people listening to this, if they want to find clarity, if they want to find meaning, or if they want to find courage to either take the step or courage in a relationship to push back? Any last message to people out there?
Yes.
What is something
Yes,
that they could do?
Yes, Greg. How much ever I explore spirituality or everything, there is always this beauty of talking in simple terms that makes sense, Greg. So, my latest passion is to explore neuroscience and tell people to them, like, what is happening inside us is just metaphorically. Let's imagine we all have a bucket, and let us call it stress bucket.
Stress bucket. Okay.
Stress bucket. The more empty it is, the more happier you are.
Nice metaphor.
The more it is, if it is spilling over, you do not have enough ability to be resilient and to cope with the challenging situations. And we get triggered by anything and everything. I sneeze louder also, you will like, can't you sneeze? Even the very sneeze can trigger anyone. So everyone, please do two things. If we are able to take out 21 minutes of meditation, it could be any form, as simple as just sit and observe your breath. 21 minutes every day. And before sleep, read any book for 6 minutes so that you don't carry whole day stress into your sleep.
Right.
So 6 minutes of book reading, 21 minutes of meditation, any point of the time will help you empty your stress bucket and your unprocessed thoughts and emotions. You will be able to regulate them and you will function very well. Just 21 minutes formula, that is meditation. 6 minutes formula is to read the book before sleep.
Very doable.
These two things, very doable. Very doable. And people say, oh, 1 minute only, I get so many thoughts, etc. Just make it a habit. Gradually, you will reach 21 minutes. It's not something, something very tough to achieve. 21 minutes, it is doable.
Before
it may
sleeping.
take time. Yeah.
I'm going to try that.
No, 21 minutes meditation anytime.
Okay.
6 minutes book reading is before sleep.
Okay, 6 minutes before sleep. All right.
So these two things I want to share with everyone.
Thank you, Nizam.
Keep your stress bucket empty.
Keep your stress bucket empty. Right. Thank you, Nizam. Thanks so much for
Thank you, Greg.
And this has been a truly informative conversation. I've got so many answers. I've got so many things I'm dying to go and try out. So
thank you, Greg.
I'm sure people have enjoyed it. So thanks a lot, Nizam.
Thank you.